Hello, everybody. Hi. Hello. Oh. Guys, I know it's after lunch, okay? It's really after lunch. But please, let's try to bring some love into this room for the next 25 minutes. Let's try that again. Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hey. Wonderful. Great. So, this is Chris from ThinkTexture.
And this is Manu from ThinkTexture.
We are building business applications for customers in various industries based on AngularJS. We do this on multiple platforms and devices. And today, we want to show you a small sample app and illustrate our real cross-platform story.
Exactly. So let's step right into it, Manu, I would say. And let's do it with a sample application, right? So we have an existing small AngularJS 1-based web app, which we are also providing in the GitHub repo after the show. And what we are going to do is we want to introduce you just a little bit the application. So it's what we call a business application or a modern business application, which means that it has the typical use cases implemented. So we have multi-language support, for example. So it's still in Deutsch. Now we switch to English, okay? We have authentication and authorization in there by just logging in and getting a CHOT token for the access stuff. The back end of the application is actually a .NET-based web API implementation because we have a strong Windows and .NET background. Other things are we have a colorful dashboard, yoo-hoo-hoo. We have a games list where we can create new games. The application is all about organizing board games, okay? So you can create new games, you can list games, you can take photos of the games, you can actually locate other players, stuff like that. So save it. We have a feature in here for geolocation. Does that look right? Yeah, it looks okay. So it's using the browser's built-in geolocation. We can also take a photo. Oh my God, he's doing it.
Oh yeah.
It's not too bad, it's not too bad. So that's essentially the application that we have, right? The layout we are using is a bootstrap-based layout together with the Angular 1 code base. It's fully responsive, so it adapts to the full screen, the full desktop. It adapts also to a tablet and obviously also to a phone. The menu is still functioning. Yeah, that's essentially the basic application. And the idea is now to use that application for our real cross-platform story. So what does real cross-platform actually mean? Real cross-platform means that we want not just go and use our application in the browser as a web app, but we also want to be able to move it onto the mobile devices and mobile platforms, and we also want to create desktop applications. That means we want to be able to deploy it through the app stores, through the Apple App Store, through the Windows App Store, through the Google App Store, for example, and also maybe through the Mac OS X App Store. Why? Well, because we just need that channel of distribution, or we actually want to integrate with the native platforms like the iPhone, like my Android tablet, or actually some native API on the desktop. So in order for us as web app developers, we love easy things and things that do automation for us, right? We are lazy, huh? So a build automation system is great, something like Gulp. Who loves Gulp? Woo, great. So we use Gulp all the day in our customer projects and products, and we want to use it here as well together with live reload. That means whenever we change something in the application, we want to see the immediate change happening in the web app, in the browser as well. So Manu is just going to start the Gulp task now for the live reload feature. It's starting up a live reload server in the background, and we will see that the application itself is still running in the browser, and whenever he's going to change something in the source code, we will see that it's going to change in the browser as well, right? Great, okay? So live reload is not for every developer, not everybody loves it. I totally realize that, but it can really help you and save you the day. So the idea is that we take the way we develop web apps today, the way we have the web development workflow in place, also onto the native platforms, onto the mobile ones and the desktop ones. So let's do that and let's try that. The presentation again?
Oh, sorry.
Yep. So mobile apps we could build with Cordova. Cordova is an open source project being built by the Apache Software Foundation, and with Cordova we actually have two things in our hands. So one thing is a tool chain that creates, based on our HTML5 application assets, a mobile application wrapper. It creates an Xcode project for iOS, it creates a Java project or code base for Android, and a C# Visual Studio one for Windows, for example. There are a lot of platforms being supported. For us now, this is the essential part. The second part of Cordova is that we can get native access to the platform itself via plugins. Okay, so we just have to call a simple JavaScript API shim, and then it's being routed down into the native platforms where native code is actually executed. Let's take a look at that. So what Manuel is now going to do is he's creating a Cordova app from scratch. We're using the Cordova CLI tools. All right, okay. We're using the Cordova CLI tools, and he has just created a new project. What we are now going to do is we are going to add platforms. We're going to add iOS, Android, and Windows. And based on those platforms, we are going also to add some plugins. Some plugins we actually need, like, I don't know, like the whitelist plugin, the splash screen plugin, the geolocation plugin, the camera plugin, of course, and the crosswalk plugin. When we talk about the platforms, iOS is easy. It's just iOS, okay? Android is easy. It's just Android. Windows actually is Windows 8 store application. It's Windows 10 store applications. It's Windows Phone 8.1 as well. So that means we have store applications as well as mobile applications, and also the Windows 10 UWP, so the Universal Windows Platform apps as well.
Oh, Windows is still installing, so.
Oh, okay, Windows is installing, so it's taking a long time for Windows to install. Any questions?
It takes way too long to install right now.
Please get off the Wi-Fi, guys. Stop your downloads right now. What's crosswalk? That's an awesome question, right? So if you are using Android devices, you usually have several different versions. Oh, sorry, he's done, so I can't answer. No. So you usually have several different versions of Android. And just to make sure that we are using a Chrome-based, a Chromium and Blink-based engine, we actually inject that core Chromium and Blink engine into our application and deploy it with our application so that we can make sure that we always have the one and certain version of Chrome running on our Android devices. Thanks for asking. Okay, great. Of course, now we run our gulp task, and this gulp task is going to build all the applications for all the platforms, or rather, that application for all the platforms. So it's building iOS, it's building Android, and it tries to build Windows. By the way, of course, we still need the native SDKs underneath, right? So we need the iOS SDK, we need Xcode, we need the Android SDK and Java on our Mac and on our Windows systems to build it. And we also need, later on, in a virtual machine, a running Windows system with Visual Studio and the appropriate SDK in place.
Okay, it's done.
It's done, huh?
It's
That's
done.
perfect, right? So let's just run the iOS app. The iOS app is now being started in the emulator. The emulator is launching an iOS 9, iPhone 6-ish device. And it already created automatically a splash screen and also an automatically created icon, which you cannot see right now. And here we go. Our existing application now just shrink-wrapped with a responsive layout based on Bootstrap to the form factor of our phone. You can log into it. We can get our dashboard again. We can go to the games list and so on and so forth. Let's do the same for Android. So we are going to use the Genymotion emulator and not the Android SDK's emulator. If you have ever done Android programming, you know what I'm talking about. Waiting the other day. So hopefully this one is going to be a little bit faster in firing up on the Genymotion emulator. Great, and as I said, it's just the same code, the same app running on the Android device now with the responsive design. Well, nothing new. And finally, let's do Windows. So Windows means we need to switch over to the VM. Here we have Windows 10 running, and the Windows 10 is using Visual Studio 2015 on top of it. And let's just open up the solution that the Cordova CLI tools just created. So Cordova's creating a shim source code solution for us for each and every platform that we are specifying. And should we start with Windows 10?
Yes, we should.
Okay, so let's start with Windows 10, which means it will be a UWP, a Universal Windows Platform app. And it's not using the splash screen because the tooling is not yet automatically creating it for the Windows platform yet. And here we go, we just have the same application running. It's not a desktop application, guys, it's a store application, right? So it's not a desktop, it's not an exe. That's very important. And last but not least, let's go to the phone. Who is using Windows Phone? Okay, right. So let's do the demo that people actually see how it looks like. The same code base again, being generated by Cordova CLI, being deployed now onto the emulator, the same effect with the splash screen, and here we go, we just have it running now on iOS, we have it on Android, we have it on Windows Phone, and on Windows Store. That's not too bad. But what about those nice features of live reloading, Manu? That would be great, right?
That would be really great.
That would be really great. So you can have a gulp task, and that's also in the repo, where it shows how you can actually use the live reloading also inside of the Cordova app. Manu is now starting the live reload server and running the app again. Now you will notice that it takes a little bit more time to live reload. This is because we are now running in a fully managed native execution context. It's not just a web view showing a website or a web browser. We're actually running inside of Cordova, inside of a native app. And for this, the actual gulp task needs to go down to a certain folder inside of the Cordova build system, watch there, then run a command called Cordova prepare to put it over, and then it actually can pick it up and live reload it. So we have a small delay in here, but I think for most of the cases that you run into in your daily job, it's great, right? It's so awesome, great, yeah. I said awesome.
You said awesome.
Okay, what about debugging? Debugging should be in every developer's life, I guess. Who likes to debug? Huh? Debugging is cool, yes, great. So if we are going to debug, it's dependent on the actual platform that we are debugging. So on Windows, we use Visual Studio and IE or the Edge browser. On Android, we're using Chrome usually. And on iOS, we're using Safari on Mac. So he just started Safari. He created, or he actually opened up the DevTools, the IDE, thank you. And now we can set a breakpoint inside of the correct file, maybe.
Yeah, sure, I'm looking for it. Do you see the game list? There it is.
Games list?
No,
let's go to the games list.
There's one.
There's one, great. Let's set a breakpoint there. And just fine, log in, and let's view the games list, and voila, we're here in the debugger, have the full stack trace, the full profiling capabilities, and of course we can just change values on the fly because at the end it's still super cool, awesome JavaScript, right? Okay, so I think that's neat. So for mobile, it's neat, right? But to make the story really, really cool, we should go to the desktop.
We should go to the desktop. So let's go to the desktop.
So let's go to the desktop.
Okay.
Should you just first go to the desktop, maybe?
No, I should go to the
Oh,
presentation
yes,
first.
yes. You should first go to the desktop. Great.
There it is.
Desktop applications we can build with several tools. Well, there is Electron, for example, but we usually go with NW.JS. NW.JS, formerly known, the artist formerly known as Node WebKit. Node WebKit is being built as an open source effort and being sponsored by the Intel software lab. And it tries to actually marry the runtime of Node.js together with the runtime and the engines of Blink and Chromium, so that we have one stack where we can just use our JavaScript and our NPM modules as we love them inside of the Node.js world. Okay? So we can build entire fully fledged desktop applications with NW.JS, run our existing Angular 1 code base inside of it, and still able to talk to the native platforms via any kind of NPM module. So let's try that. First, we're going to create a new package.json file, because at the end it's Node.js, right? And we need a package.json file. The package.json file is just in order to describe the manifest of the application. And the manifest of the application consists of some metadata, like the window, the title of the window, the size of the window, or the application name, the application title. Once we have the package.json in place, we can actually, well, run our gulp task.
We can run a gulp task. We do it.
Yeah, so gulp and NW.JS
Default.
What happens now is it's creating the application, it's compiling it, not really, but it's actually just bundling it up. And we have a command line tool already installed called NW. So NW dot now takes the NW application with the current folder, and we have a native Mac application. Okay. It's no way. Well, okay. It's not yet a real application, but we get there closely, okay? What also works in here is live reload, just to make sure that we can use the tools we know and we love. So running another gulp task, you know, there's always a gulp task for that, just in case. And when Manuel now is going to change that to woohoo wow, it's actually working. Great. So live reload in the browser, live reload on the mobile platforms in a native app, and live reload in a native desktop application, well, of course, with the core of HTML5 and JavaScript. So, what about debugging?
We can debug.
We can. Show us.
I do.
So he did a Shift-Control-D. That's a keyboard shortcut that we wired up via JavaScript, because the NW.JS runtime has an API with which we can actually launch the Chrome debugging tools. So what it does is, it's an encapsulated application having a Chromium in a certain version sitting inside of this application, and we can actually deploy the debugging tools within. And we can just hook them up to a keyboard shortcut and jump off we go with our well-known and beloved Chrome debugging tools. Debugging a desktop application, right? Okay? It's not yet really a desktop application because we want to go. Oh no, we actually have it, right?
We have it.
Our wonderful gulp task, which we ran in the first place, has already created platform-specific packages now. So Manu did the gulp NW.JS default. What he did now is, based on a module called NW Builder, which is an open source module, it created for Linux, OS X, Windows, and Windows the native application. So let's start it on OS X first. You can see it's one application, it's one app with our logo, with the icon, and it's just working. It's a full-blown desktop application. You can see in the upper left, if you zoom, in the upper left, yes, we already have the menu sitting right there. Let's do the same for Windows. Great.
There you go.
There you go. There is the exe. Let's start it. And boom, we're done. Native exe for Windows with the same code base. Now you can clap. Okay, let's switch gears back to the mobile stuff. How can we now get into the native features of the mobile platforms, right? So what about native integration? Let's do it. Let's try and take a photo of the mobile, on the mobile version of the app with the actual camera app, right? So what we did there is we have an AngularJS service. We wire it up with our platform information service. On the platform information service, we have various helper methods like is Cordova. When it's in Cordova, we are injecting the camera plugin, which we already prepared, 25 minutes. We ask the Angular injector to give us the instance of the mobile camera. In any other case, just give us the regular desktop camera. So that means when we are now going to deploy it to the real device, so Manu has an iPhone sitting here. Okay. He's running the gulp task again. He's unlocking the phone.
At least I try to unlock it.
And we try to project it through the QuickTime player.
Hi.
Hi.
So,
and
there it is.
Go and deploy. That's the tricky part of the presentation of the demos because yes, that's another tricky part, right?
Yeah.
Since iOS 9, there is some issue and glitch with the debugging through the Cordova tool, so it has a hiccup. We just need to deploy it now. We need to cancel it and then run it manually again. So that may take something like 34.35 seconds, right?
Maybe a bit more. Maybe, just maybe.
So we are waiting for the app to show up. No, actually to quit first.
To quit, yes. To quit the debugger.
Right, and there we go. Just show the QuickTime player, maybe.
Oops, sorry.
Log into the system. Go to the existing game. Here's the camera. The native camera app from iOS. This works on Android and Windows Phone. Exactly the same. And let's take a photo. Great. So, and last but not least, let's go for the Mac application again, or for the NW.JS application, and let's do native integration on that part as well. As time is running, of course, we have just a very, very simple, small native feature that we're going to build in, which is the native menu. Okay? Let's just have a fully fledged macOS X native menu sitting on the top of the desktop. For this, we have prepared a native menu service, and it's a little bit more than just 1 or 2 lines of code. So we have prepared this snippet. We'll copy it over, and hopefully there are no mistakes in there. We are checking whether we are running on macOS X, on Darwin, create the default Mac menu. Otherwise, we just add another menu we call games list. Okay? Run it again. So let's go for the gulp task, run it. This should just take 4 seconds, usually.
Oh, 3 seconds.
3.2 seconds. That's not really
seconds.
fast. And let's start it. And now, if you zoom in, you can see in the upper corner, it's a fully fledged macOS X menu, also with boards. Go to boards and about. Boards and about. And we have a about box with our icon fully integrated into the Mac environment. Awesome. Whirlwind. So what did we actually just do? We just took a web application, an existing Angular application, moved it into the mobile native world, into the desktop native world, and all that with just one code base. This also works, obviously, with Angular 1 and Angular 2 and any other SPA stylish framework that you like.
All right, that was the cross-platform story we wanted to share with you. And as we think this is rather cool, we all need you to forget about it. And we can keep it for us.
Do not even worry about it, dude. Thank you for listening.
Have a nice day.